We've never had a crowd quite like this at our third Wednesdays before. We get a lot of interested people who come and want to learn about the food system and whatnot, but sort of the depth of the activism in this audience is something I don't get to experience every day. So I'm very humbled and privileged to be here with you tonight. I think you'll agree with me, there's a lot of reasons why the East Bay is out in the forefront of changing this food system. And one of those reasons, of course, is the tremendous need. Communities in the East Bay are probably those who are most negatively impacted by the current food system that we have today. And they're the ones who have the most stake in changing it. And those are the ones who have risen to the fore in terms of organizing and implementing projects and pushing policies and bringing the community together.
The food was horrible, and there were parents who were upset about that. There was a Healthy Start grant movement where a lot of the schools were given money to figure out how to make their school a healthier environment. And there was private money through the Center for Eco-Literacy. The city of Berkeley also had a health report saying that my grandson had a 40% less chance of living to the age of 40 than the children, European American children in the hills. And so there was a lot of different things that sort of came together in 99, 2000, and it evolved into this body of people who collectively championed the notion and the idea that food was sacred, food should be available to all and accessible to all, and it should be good, safe food, basically. And out of that came a lot of things.
One of their first goals was to get the city of Berkeley and the school district to pass a food policy, which, as many of you know, for decades had been left off city planning agendas and just either written out or ignored for many decades, really since the beginning of professional urban planning in the 20th century. So it was really trying to bring that back into some of the institutions and take some of these community grassroots efforts and give them a more solid footing.
We had a situation in Oakland that if you owned a parcel of land or had access to a parcel of land that did not have a residence on it, meaning it was just one of those abandoned lots or just an open lot, you had to apply for a you had to apply for a permit, and the process to apply cost $2,800. So that's if you're denied permission, you still pay the $2,800. You don't get the money back. So that's problematic. So we worked to address that in order to ensure that growing food is a right.
You know, we knew that there was a lot of urban farmers out there, a lot of gardeners, a lot of people providing emergency food. So we actually made a whole database of all of these different people, putting them all into a contacts database, and then invited them to come to this meeting. And began meeting and setting some priorities of mapping our community, figuring out who was selling what, which liquor stores were actually converting to be kind of grocery markets. There's a couple in particular right in the heart of the Iron Triangle, one in particular, Joe's Market. You should say Joe's Market. First in McDonald, really hard area where I grew up, where you grew up. And one of his family members, the owner of this liquor store, was killed in a drunk driving accident. And so he decided to stop selling alcohol and start converting this pretty large liquor store into a regular grocery store right in the middle of the hood. And we realized that there was actually a number of different stores that were already doing that. So we took upon ourselves to kind of identify them, get their names, get their numbers, and figure out, keep asking them, how can we help you?
Because our belief is that until we can align all the good work and raise it up that's being done, you can't really do very much at the state or federal level. State and Fed follows the communities. And so the goal is to get enough communities working together on common things that we can say, look at, 5 cities have done a good food procurement policy. The state has to do the same thing. Or 30 cities have urban agriculture programs. And in fact, we should provide a revenue stream from AB 32 that funds urban gardeners for their carbon sequestration work. Things like that. Those are the kinds of goals that we have in mind in time.
So I think one thing that we really want to take from other food policy councils that are here at the table and representing on the stage is the struggle behind actually getting policy implemented and learning lessons. So we know that especially Oakland, they learned a valuable lesson in first, implementing the policy, the ordinance, and then having to go back and actually fight to make it something that reflects equity within the community. So in Richmond, what we're trying to do is kind of look to them as a guide and say, you know what, now that we have this draft, this very convoluted and stymied draft of an urban ag ordinance, we want to sit down and really begin to develop recommendations and ways that this can reflect our larger community.
This was a successful campaign, and they did adopt the policy recommendations, not only to grow the food by right, but to sell it by right without any additional permitting, and to keep up to 3 beehives by right. But it's significant because you have a municipality that's acknowledging that growing food is a right, which is taking a step further than even what we do in the U.S. In the U.S., food is not a basic right. So not only is it being seen in Oakland as a basic right, but being able to procure it on by your own means and self-determine the way in which you will feed yourself and feed your family is seen as a right. And so that's I will say, a beautiful platform by which we will proceed with our work in the city of Oakland.